What an insane weekend of college football it was, and we, of course, are very glad that NC State had a bye.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Our Monday sponsor is Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Happy Monday to all. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. Unfortunately, I was informed during our title sequence, NC State did not have a bye. They actually pissed down their leg and lost to the Deacons of Wake Forest by a score of 34-30. Kenton, how in the hell did that happen?
Are you sure that we didn't have a bye? It seemed like we took one in the fourth quarter there late. It seemed like everybody was very sure, hey, we're good here. But, how did it happen? One team played to win, one team played not to lose. That's how it happened. Point blank period. I understand, and I saw the last play that was a bad interception from CJ Bailey and all that. But without a terrible roughing the passer, we don't end up in 1st and 10. We end up in 3rd and 12.
Yep.
Which, don't get me wrong, Wake Forest converted on a 4th and 9 with a scramble. You think that quarterback's liable to scramble on 4th and 12 potentially?
Doubt it.
So, just plenty of moments along the way where we just pissed down our leg and said, oh, this moment is just too big. All in all, I look at this game and I say it was a combination of things that went wrong all at the same time, right? And again, I cannot stress enough how right my good friend Grayson Boone was when he said winning ugly is the kiss of death. Because again, the same guy that you were in that ugly win, you will be that guy in an ugly loss like this. The same guy that you are in terms of going into a shell and saying, oh, we don't need any more points. We're okay here. The same way you do that in that win, you're going to do that in these losses. And those are going to be your moments where you're sitting here and you're just saying, how? How do we end up here? And I do want to say this. I said when we started this thing, if you're going to lose with the young regime. Notice I never said, hey, you're going to win with the young regime. You're going to dominate with the young regime. I said if you're going to lose with the young regime because the younger guys are going to have moments like this. But I don't want to put it on him. I want to put it on seniors, 5th-year guys that are getting roughing the passers on 2nd and 12. I want to put it on my elder statesmen that cannot fill a hole and make a tackle to save their lives. I want to put it on the play caller who's been calling plays for nearly 40 years or 30 years or whatever the case may be, longer than I've been alive. That I do know. Been coaching this game up longer than I've been alive. Who continues to call screens when, again, KC is unguardable when he runs around. Nobody sticks with him. The young man is like McDonald's before COVID. He's always open. And yet and still, the only way that we can get him the ball is right in front of the quarterback or right in front of all 11 players on the defense on the screen. So, I look at this and I say, when you ask how the hell did that happen, it happened because one team played to win and one team played to lose. It happened because at the end of the day, we right now are so disjointed as a team, we have a bad case of can't get right-itis. Because when the offense shows up, the defense doesn't. Then when the defense shows up, the offense doesn't. Had we scored on either of those turnovers that the defense got, what was it, the fourth quarter?
It was right after halftime in the 3rd quarter.
Had we scored on either one of the interceptions that were forced or the fumble then interception that the defense forced on consecutive drives in the 3rd quarter, this game looks extremely different. But do you know what the results of those 2 drives were, Grayson? 7 plays for a total of 9 yards.
Phew.
7 plays for a total of 9 yards. An incompletion, 3-yard run, incompletion, no event set, misses a 49-yarder. The other one, Jordan Waters for 4, incompletion from Bailey, and then a holding by Tim McKay on 3rd and 6 to push us to 3rd and 16. And then an 11-yarder that still just put us at the 42 to punt. And notice I said 2 back-breaking penalties. What year is McKay?
Senior.
What year is Betty, who had the roughing the passer?
Senior.
You get put in positions to execute, you got to execute. You've got to not shoot yourself in the foot.
I tried my very hardest to enjoy the rest of what actually turned out to be an electric weekend of college football. I couldn't help feeling so dejected after what I saw my football team do on Saturday. We're sitting here on Monday. I still can't believe the fashion in which we lost that game. But in that same sense, I can believe the fashion in which we lost that football game. This is exactly why I brought up that quote by Nick Saban a week ago when he was talking on College Game Day about teams that don't play that well, but they're still finding ways to win. That complacency in thinking that you're doing better than you actually are, that is the kiss of death. And when you think that you're good enough to skate by and just rest on the laurels of your defense late in the game, you're going to run into a team every now and again that will be good enough on offense to beat you and embarrass you. We've seen it, unfortunately, more than once in Doran's past, and we saw it again against the worst team in the ACC on Saturday. The most hollow feeling you can have surrounding NC State football right now, you're at the exact midpoint of the season. You're 3-3 through 6 games. All of your goals are off the table. Your season is already an abject failure on October the 7th. How disappointing of a feeling is that? In this team, the team that was supposed to be different, and I know NC State fans, we say that every year, almost. I can't believe we went out there and lost to Wake Forest in that fashion on a day where your offense finally started to turn a new leaf with some of the things that we had been talking about. We did spread the field with more guys than just KC. We got Justin Jolie open several times. We got Noah Rogers open several times. Wesley Grimes several times. We got the young guys involved. Terrell Anderson, Keenan Jackson. The offense showed more promise than they'd showed maybe all year after CJ Bailey took back over. And again, I want to reiterate, CJ Bailey was not the reason that we lost this game. I personally don't even care about the last play interception because at that point, it didn't matter. NC State can't find themselves in a situation where you're down 4 with a minute left to play at home against Wake Forest. You can't be in that situation. So that throw, I don't care. I don't care that it was a bad throw, bad read, whatever. The pick to me doesn't matter. CJ Bailey, I think as a true freshman in this game, he did nearly all you could ask of him. I thought he played a pretty good game. He showed his arm talent. He found the open man. Some plays with reads, I think, is still a work in progress, but it's going to be a work in progress. He's a true freshman. He's learning. Yep. You take those lumps with this guy, and he's doing that. The offense in general was, I'll say, good. And maybe not good. It was okay. I still have the biggest problem in the world with all the screen plays to KC. Please, please, please scrap those plays. Get KC down the field in open space. I promise you it will work. Kenton was there at the game. He can see it. When you get KC down the field, there is no one that can cover him. We saw it last year. Repeatedly trying to hit this man behind or at the line of scrimmage is nonsense. It is nonsense. It's illogical. I understand the basis behind it. You get him going with the head of speed. It has not worked. I don't think a single time this year. Not once. Scrap it. You have got to find a way to get rid of everything that doesn't work, just like last year, and find the things that do work. Because I think in this game, you saw a healthy amount of both. I really don't have that much more to talk about with this game because it is that disappointing of a performance. I cannot believe that we went out and did that. But coming up next, we're going to get into our offensive and defensive reviews, looking back at how they did against Kenton's Keys. This comes after a quick word from our sponsors. Our first Monday sponsor is LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are just right for that role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. They help you hire professionals that you simply cannot find anywhere else, even those who are not actively searching for a new job, but may be open to just the perfect role. In any given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users aren't even looking on other job sites. So quite frankly, if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats, they simply might not have the time or resources to hire effectively. So that is exactly where LinkedIn comes into play. They make all of these processes that much easier for you and your business. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Middle portion of our Monday show. Now time to walk back and look at how NC State football did against Kenton's Keys on Saturday. First, our first three keys for the offense. Number one was to score 10 plus points in the first quarter. Was not able to achieve that. We only finished with 3. The second key was to rush for 150 plus yards. Did not hit that one either. We finished with 105. And the third one was to finish 40% or better in third down conversion rate. We did actually do that one. We were 8 of 15 for a total of 53%. That, if nothing else, was promising. But Kenton, 1 of 3 on offense. How are we feeling?
I mean, that's not super surprising. I don't think anybody looks at that and is like, hey, we that doesn't make sense against what we saw all game there. And you know, our offense played good enough to win this ball game.
They did.
But there were still some moments where you want to see some better execution. And while I don't put the game on CJ Bailey, I would have loved to see him execute down the stretch and get us a win on that last drive. But I want to go back to one thing real quick. The rushing stats. Grayson, what did we do on the ground?
We had 29 rushes for 105 yards.
There's a reason that I asked about that in particular, because when we had the ball late, right? And I mean, when we had the ball very late, I want to say 8:43 left in the game. I look at that first play, and that to me is an encapsulation of what are we doing in terms of play calling. I say that because people keep hearing me talk about, why are you trying to run the ball when you got 8 in the box? Well, the problem is that initial play that sets you back is, to me, what kind of set an entire pace of, hey, we're in the shell, we're good here. And I was incorrect. They did not have 3 receivers on the field then. But even still, even with 2 receivers on the field, 2 receivers and the quarterback and the running back. So, Grayson, how many people is that? That's 4 players, right? There are 11 on the field, correct?
Correct.
How many do you have to block if there are 11 and you just took away 4?
7.
Now, Grayson, if I said 8 men are in the box, which number is bigger, 7 or 8?
That'd be 8.
So it seems to me that in this moment, you are still outgunned and outmanned, even though you're in, 12 personnel. By 12, I mean 1 back, 2 tight ends. Man. Maybe we need to do something else. Maybe we need to go with who's brought us to the dance. Maybe we need to keep throwing on first down because it's been so successful all game. And again, if we had a team that I know consistently we can run the ball, that's what we do well, that's how we get it done, I wouldn't be mad at running the ball there. We have not shown that to any serious level. There are so many other things for you to do besides a run or pop pass to KC or screen to KC. You have a million other things that you could do that you choose not to. And by the way, that 105 yards rushing came on 29 carries. So even if I take CJ Bailey and his production out of the equation altogether, you're looking at 25 rushes for 106 yards. That is slightly over 4 yards a carry. For perspective, Ashton Jonty is averaging 10. Oh, well, no, that's not fair. He's probably going to win the Heisman. For perspective, most teams that are good at running the ball are at about 5 to 6. And if you don't believe me, how many do you think that Wake Forest averaged in this game, Grayson?
5.2.
5.2. So looks to me like 5 is that magic number, that threshold for I can do this at a high clip, which, by the way, they were stopped on a majority of their runs. It was just a few where we did it wrong.
For me, touching on the offense, which was the most inspiring part of this football game before it all went south, obviously on this program, we've talked a lot about spreading the ball to other wide receivers, spreading the field in general. And I think you finally started to see glimpses of that in this game outside of how they still decided to use KC Concepcion. Of course, you look at Noah Rogers, 7 targets, 5 catches for 45. Probably should have had a whole lot more if you consistently feed him the ball. Every time he caught the ball, it was an average of 9 yards, nearly a first down. He is that level of talent. Justin Jolie, I know we freed Granny. She's currently asked me to go back in the cage because she's too embarrassed to think about NC State football right now. Justin Jolie, 4 targets, 4 catches, 73 yards, and a touchdown. I think he remains probably still the most dangerous person on the offense. Not even KC, because he has not hit that mark outside of game 1.
So quick question, Grayson. You said how many targets did Jolie have?
4.
How many yards?
73.
Okay, so that's about what? 18 yards per target?
18.3.
Crazy how that works out. And he had how many targets?
4.
4.
Weird, right?
You know?
Isn't it weird when you find the best players on your team? Isn't that strange?
I'm sorry, but again, I talked about this phenomenon earlier, and it's so crazy because me and you even talked about this in the offseason before the season even started. Yep. We did an under-over on the amount of yards that KC would have, and you and I both went under because we said that other guys around him are so good, they're going to take away from his production. And look, they are, in fact, so good that when you target them, they make plays. But for whatever reason, we're just like, we could go to Jolie downfield, and he'll either find a way open in terms of his route running, or he'll separate from you vertically. And hell, even if we do get in the ball right by the line of scrimmage, he'll break a tackle or two. Or we could throw another screen to KC.
And to that point, KC Concepcion, 10 targets, 6 catches for just 22 yards, an average of 3.7.
2.2 yards per target.
Enough. The thing is like, I'm not even bothered by 10 targets, but how many of those were at or behind the line of scrimmage? Probably what, like 7 of them? That can't happen. He works best, we all know this, when he gets into open space. That's how he scored 3 times against Western Carolina to start the season. When you get him downfield, he's uncoverable. The way he can get in and out of a route and the breaks that he puts on some of these DBs, uncoverable. Why you continue to run him east to west along the sidelines is madness. It is absolute madness. If that doesn't get cleaned up, you're going to see extremely similar results. Now, jumping over to the defense, our defensive keys, number 1 was to hold Wake's wide receivers Taylor Marin and Donovan Green under 150 yards receiving combined. We actually did accomplish that one, but it was helped heavily by the fact that Donovan Green did not play. However, Taylor Marin finished with 2 catches for just 20 yards. So that one was a success. Number 2 was to record 3+ sacks of quarterback Hank Bachmeier. We did accomplish that one as well, 3 sacks exactly. And last was to force 8+ negative plays, which is sacks and or TFLs. Did not accomplish that one, only 4 in total.
In the moments where it mattered, because if you really think about their performance in this game, you take the 7 points from the Grayson McCall hit off the board, which they should have been, because again, that was definitely targeting. But
yeah,
you take those points off the board, they allowed 27 points in this game. Of those 27 points, you have 1 long run where there was a missed tackle. You have, so that's another 7 there. And then you have another situation where a really long run put you there. But other than that, you look at, even if I include that one, you're looking at 20 points in essence that you gave on sustained long drives. I think they were good enough in some regards. It was just those pivotal breakdown moments. It's just that those big plays, those big gashing runs will kill you every time. And that's what they did in this game.
As a whole, or I guess for the first 3 quarters, I thought the defense played fine. However, the fourth quarter, with the game on the line, and unfortunately, with added pressure put on the defense because the offense had taken their foot off of the gas, the defense didn't show up. And that's tough because when that is your head coach's methodology, put to the test way too many times than we would like it to be, you're surely to come across an instance where it will fail. On Saturday, it failed. I think the way it failed is a little bit more frustrating. The inability, like Kenton was talking about, to get off of the field. Not even just on third down, but also on fourth down. Wake Forest converted not 1, not 2, but 3 fourth down conversions in the fourth quarter. That is shocking for a Tony Gibson defense. Last week, you had a relatively inspiring defensive performance, and you thought, all right, maybe this is where they start to pick things up. Hit the brakes. Not so much. I can't believe how poor the defense looked in this fourth quarter. When it was winning time, when it was crunch time, when you push all the chips in the middle and you go out and you let your dogs hunt, the dogs got lost. The dogs didn't come back home. That, in my mind, that is ultimately where this game was lost. The defense, which is supposed to be this team's calling card, yet again, did not show up in a pivotal moment. And that is why we're sitting here on Monday discussing an embarrassing loss to Wake Forest. Still can't believe it. Feels awful here on Monday. It's going to feel awful all week. Truly shocking to witness.
The biggest and most disappointing part of the defense's performance to me was the lack of capitalizing on potential game-changing plays. The fumble that popped out hit multiple NC State defenders' hands. Dropped interceptions. I don't know how this happens. You have to capitalize on those types. Tips and overthrows, we need all of those. That was our motto at Cast Tech. Tips and overthrows, we need all of those. And this is why I say this team is an uncanny valley of a good team. They're right there. It's always like, oh, man, if you just take away these 2-3 plays, these couple plays went differently. But they don't. They don't. Those couple plays go against you, and you get what you get.
And last thing here, fourth quarter specifically, total plays, Wake Forest 24, NC State 8. Time of possession, Wake Forest 11 minutes and 27 seconds. NC State 3 minutes and 33 seconds. In crunch time, that is why you cannot get conservative. You allowed Wake Forest 3 times, over 3 times the amount of time that you had to extend a lead, and they used it to take the lead and win the game. You play to win the game. You don't play not to lose. This is what happens. This is exactly what happens. Coming up next, we're going to round out our Monday show with our big picture takeaways from an embarrassing loss to Wake Forest. This comes after a quick word from our sponsors. Our second Monday sponsor is Gametime. Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks, and it makes getting tickets for your favorite live events easier than ever before. Gametime Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, and you won't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. The curation of Gametime Picks makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, you name it, they got it. Toggling the all-in pricing feature on the app will show your total upfront so you receive 0 surprises at checkout. And as always, you get that panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect upon arrival. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, and again, create an account and use redeem code LOCKEDONCollege. That's LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, Locked On College, for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? You already know. It's game time. Last couple of minutes here of our Monday show, very somber Monday show. It's time to give our big picture takeaways from this loss to Wake Forest. Kenton, I'll let you lead us off.
This team may not make a bowl game. That is my big picture takeaway. A team that we came into the season with expectations of Charlotte for, this team may not make a bowl game. And that's why all along, ever since that second game, I said, this team needs to be focused on each and every game as if it's their last. Because I didn't know it would be this bad, but I saw serious problems that needed correcting in that game. And I said, it doesn't matter who your opponent is. That's not good enough. What you did against Western Carolina was not good enough to beat most FBS teams. What you did against Tennessee, not good enough to beat most FBS teams. So I knew after those two games, you have to hyper-focus in on every game. But at worst, we're an 8, maybe 9-win team. This team, expectations reset in real time. This team may not make a bowl.
My big picture takeaway is we are at the midpoint of the season. We're 3-3. We're 6 games in. We better see some pride for this second half, because if not, it's going to get ugly. And I mean ugly for this program in Raleigh. You may feel that it is already ugly. Some of you may feel that it has been ugly for years already. It's going to be so much worse than all of that if this team does not find a way to show some pride in these last 6 games. I'm talking about major adjustments, not sticking to your guns because you believe it's going to work, but making real adjustments based on the performances that you've been getting in the first 6 games. You have to adapt, because if not, Syracuse is up next. They will find a way to beat you. On the road at Cal is after that. They will find a way to beat you. There are 0 gimmies on the schedule left. We talked about that about a week ago. The easiest game on the schedule before Saturday was Wake Forest. You have decided to fumble that one away. To Kenton's point, making a bowl, it's going to be a dogfight to try and get to 6-6. I would bet you anything. It's going to be a tough road to try and find 6 wins, because the rest of the teams on your schedule, believe me, they've taken notice that NC State they're in a bad way right now. That NC State is a shell of the team that we all thought they would be. And they can't wait to get their shot at embarrassing the Pack. I promise you. But Syracuse, like I already mentioned, they're coming off a ranked win on the road. They're feeling themselves right now. You think they're scared of NC State? No shot. No shot. They're going to come in and try and make this situation 10 times worse. And based on what we've seen so far, I don't know if we're going to be able to stop them. We better see some pride out of the boys in red and white. Offensive pride. Defensive pride. Special teams pride. Coaching. Maybe I should have led with that. I better see some pride from the coaching staff. We all know the direction the heat lamp is currently facing right now. We can all read the room, okay? Not good. Things are not going well for the NC State Wolfpack. If you show some pride, at least you have a chance to finish the season on a decent note. I've already said it's October 7th, and the season as a whole is already an abject failure. But if the team sees it that way, maybe they'll finish 3-9. Maybe they'll finish 4-8. Maybe they just pack it up, say, well, this year ain't for us. We gave it our best shot. We are all out of ideas. I guess that's going to be a year for us. Or you can still dig and fight and claw and make adjustments and play for each other. Who knows maybe where you'll end up? I don't know. Is it a tough schedule? I wouldn't say that. Is it as soft as we thought it would be? No, because our team is not good. Does this team want to be known as the team that gave up and was a complete embarrassment? Or does this team want to be known as the team that didn't give up even when the season had already ultimately been lost, and they found a way to at least make it feel a little better at the end of the season? That's going to be hard to do, but they can do it. Again, you're sitting at 3-3. I'm not predicting that they finish 6-0, but you can finish 9-3. The staff found a way to rally the team last year. What type of team does this team want to be? Are we going to see some pride or not? We're going to find out here pretty quickly. That'll do it for us here on Monday. As always, thank you all so much for joining us. Be sure to hit that like button. Drop your comments in the comment box. I'm sure there will be a plenty of those. Mash that subscribe button if you have not already. And we'll see you right back here tomorrow for more on Tuesday. Until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.